Hi, everyone, and welcome to today's reading. Today, we're going to look at just clearer messages, guidance, or any messages you need to hear if you're experiencing some sort of turbulence in your relationship, and yeah, just how to move through that and navigate that. So, to begin with, we're going to look at a few cards to see the nature of this turbulence and why it is happening. So, okay. So we have surrender, perseverance, and courage in reverse with blame as back of deck energy. And what this is showing me is that there's a lot of internal struggle within you where, you try to either learn the lessons or, show up in a particular way in your relationship because you've been taught that this is how you're supposed to be as a partner. You're supposed to push through the hard times, you're supposed to surrender, you're supposed to see where you're supposed to compromise. And there is this dichotomy where you also believe that the universe is guiding you through this for a reason. And so you accept a lot more than what feels comfortable. And that sort of racks up some amount of blame or resentment towards your partner. And it's ultimately because it's making you, whether you're consciously aware of it or not, it's making you feel a little smaller because, like I said, because of this dichotomy of what you should do and what the universe is guiding you towards versus what feels comfortable to you, they're two different things. And you're really being invited to take stock on how you're actually feeling and put the universe aside for a little bit because, a lot of times we've been fed a lot of spirituality and like just a lot of spiritual perspectives that we think that we need to employ or embody in order for us to be spiritual, and sometimes that takes away from our autonomy, from our inner knowing. And that's why it's important to come back into yourself, trust the messages that your body is sending you, because truly spirituality is a very individual thing. We can all relate to it at a universal level, but we can't all preach from a universal level. We need to understand the value and importance of our personal spirituality. And that can look vastly different from what is being preached outside. And also, it sometimes might not even it might not look quote unquote spiritual, right? It could just look like a normal thing that you do. It could just look like you standing up for yourself or you standing up for what you believe is right. And there might be a part of you that's also afraid of losing this relationship with the perseverance card and courage in reverse, where you feel like if you don't accept this or if you voice what you're truly feeling, then this person will retaliate or uh, will leave you, will run away. And it feels like you're walking on eggshells because you don't want to trigger a fight. But you need to pause and take stock on whether this is true to the person that you're with, or whether it's a past fear coming up and you are projecting that onto them. So for some of you, it might be because this person actually uh, will retaliate with a fight. But for the others, it actually, for most of you, actually, it feels like it's more a past fear. It's an abandonment wound that is coming up, which is what's making you, keep everything to yourself. But that's going to continue to build and grow, and it's going to become too heavy for you to continue to carry. And the blame will just continue to grow as well with that. And then the relationship will reach a breaking point. So it's better to slowly start communicating what you're feeling and how you're feeling. And it doesn't need to be in an aggressive way, it doesn't need to be in an antagonistic way. It can just be like, I am feeling this way, and I just want to let you know. I'm not blaming you. I'm just telling you that this is where I'm coming from. And then you'll need to pause and listen to it from where they're coming from. And once you do that, and really allow yourself to listen to each other, not just speak, but listening, because listening is such an sorry, not overrated, it's such an underrated aspect of communication. And only when we can truly listen to the other can an actual resolution be reached. So if this bit sounded a little bit like your relationship, then this reading is probably for you, and we'll get a little deeper with uh, some of the tarot. So we have the devil. We have a blank card in this deck, the Six of Wands, the Queen of Swords in reverse, the Five of Wands in reverse, and the Ten of Wands. Yeah, okay, fine. The second half of these cards are exactly what I've already um, mentioned. But yeah, with the devil here, there's definitely a lot of fear surrounding relationships, surrounding what could happen. And for some of you, it might even be related to your partner's extracurricular activities. It could be that, you think that they're either indulging too much in whatever it is, right? Whether it's alcohol, whether it's weed, whether it's drugs, whether it's partying, whatever, socializing, whatever it is, right? Where it feels to you like it's too much, and that overindulgence feels like they don't have enough time for you. And maybe in other areas, they're a great partner, but yeah, I think that's what it is with the Six of Wands here. It feels like you're also sometimes making excuses for certain behaviors of your partner because everything else is great. It's just this one thing that is gnawing at you because it just doesn't feel right to you. And it brings up also certain past fears or past experiences that might be a little triggering for you. And so there is this tendency for you to be like, oh, I'm just triggered. This is actually a great person. So I'm just making a big deal out of it. And you are sort of sabotaging yourself or not listening to yourself because everything else seems great and you feel like you won the jackpot with this person with the Six of Wands here. But there is a space between both these truths, the fact that, they are overindulging and the fact that this is a great person. That space in between is where both truths can coexist. And you're being invited to come down into that space to be like, okay, fine, this is true, but this is also true. And allowing both will actually help you reach a resolution um, that is supportive and conducive to both of you, right? And it's also about coming it's also coming down to a little bit of your value systems and just like, again, communicating, hearing each other out on like what it is that you value and how do you show up in that way that is aligned with those values. Because with the Queen of Swords and the Five of Wands both in reverse, it really feels like in order to avoid conflict, you are sacrificing your truth. You are not communicating your truth, and that's taking you out of your power. And it's slowly chipping away at who you are because you're just swallowing a lot. And that's really creating a lot of pent-up frustration and a lot of burdensome energy with the Ten of Wands ending this reading here. And so it's not like there are always massive fights, but it just feels very turbulent because whenever this person goes out, whenever your partner goes out, or whenever they're engaging in these activities that don't feel safe or good to you, it's it festers and it feels more like this energetic thing, or like, okay, fine, like, you're not talking to each other, or you both avoid each other, or you'll take some space, or sometimes it's a fight, like, it's just different things. It might not be explosive at all. I'm not getting that energy, but it just feels very, yeah, very on the energetic level and very um like there's a lot of friction. It's not explosive, but there is friction. And that's what's creating a lot of burdensome energy. And the relationship itself is starting to feel heavier and heavier. And whatever, spark or lightness was there when you first started dating and you first started getting to know each other, like that feels like that light is dimming because all of this is just like stored in you. So starting to speak, doing it in a way that feels safe to you, because there might also be fears in speaking your truth, as I mentioned earlier. So you don't need to say everything all at once, but take baby steps in practicing setting a boundary or expressing yourself, knowing that, you know, you're allowed to do that. there are two people in a relationship for a reason, and only focusing on the other person, only explaining or rationalizing their behavior is doing a disservice and injustice to your experience. You are equally important and valuable in this relationship as the other person, and it's important that you start taking stock of that as well. Okay, you deserve to feel how you want to feel in a relationship too, because I feel like you are the kind of person who is very understanding of the other person, is very accommodating of the other person, is very um maybe even doting. But the thing is that you forget that you are also entitled to be accommodated, to be held, to be whatever you are, right? So it's just the same way you give the other person permission to be whoever they are, you deserve that too. And the less you speak your truth, the less you're showing up as who you are in that relationship. So give yourself a chance to be loved and seen and heard for your true experience. And that will be such a gift that you can give yourself, because you're allowing yourself to be seen. You are allowing yourself to be heard, no matter the outcome, right? Like, no matter the situation, you will gain that strength, that confidence, that courage to be authentically yourself. And that, trust me, is such a superpower. So, with that, is there anything else, please, Spirit, that you would like to share with the person listening in about this? Yeah, Page of Swords, start learning to communicate. It'll actually give you wings and it'll set you free. It does seem like it's going to feel quite new to you, but you're going to feel a lot more grounded and anchored in yourself. And it's also going to allow you to create a reality that is nourishing and fulfilling to yourself, to your partner, to your relationships, not just romantic, right? I'm saying, like, this is going to have a ripple effect across your life if you come back home to yourself and um feel like you can just again show up authentically. And with the Six of Swords here, it'll actually help you move from these turbulent waters into calmer waters. And I will be honest, because that's just who I am. I can't read in a way that's going to just tell you what you want to hear. I will tell you what is showing up. For some of you, this means that this relationship will move from turbulent waters to clearer waters, because you're able to communicate more. And, it just feels like you both can show up and you both have more permission to be yourselves, because you both are also listening to each other. For others of you, in you stepping into your voice, in you communicating, this actually might mean that you're moving away from the relationship. But again, it's going to feel very freeing. Not going to deny it if this is true for you. And if that's why, okay, you'll know if this is for you, if intuitively you already felt like, okay, fine, this is why I don't want to communicate, because they are like, I know they can't handle it or whatever. You are just delaying the inevitable, or you are just going to make the reality worse for yourself. So you'll know if this message is for you. But if it is, and if this relationship ends in you stepping into yourself, this relationship was never meant for you. It was meant to be a catalyst for you to grow into yourself, so that you can meet a partner who can meet you for who you are and love you the way you deserve to be loved. And you deserve to be loved for your entirety. You deserve to be seen and held in your entirety. There is nothing wrong with you, and the right person will see that. Okay, so just one last message with this deck before we move to advice, please, Spirit. Two of Wands, yeah. I do feel with the Hierophant is back to deck energy. Yeah, I do feel like, it is going to take a little bit of effort. It will take a little bit of, adjusting as you start stepping into your voice, as you start communicating, because maybe this is new for them as well. So they might also be taken aback. So yeah, just wait for that, adjustment to happen, and see if, as you're communicating, whether it's building something new or whether it's, you being pushed into silence further, because that will be your tell on whether this relationship can grow or whether its sustenance is based on your silence, right? Because if you both are able to communicate, if you both are able to listen to each other, if you both are able to work on that, that is such a beautiful foundation for, so much expansion, so much evolution, so much love, so much growth. But if it's just like gaslighting, or if it's just making you keep quiet, if it's making you retreat and chip away more and more of yourself, then that's your sign that this is how it's going to continue to be. Because anytime you voice your truth, you are shunned or, what is the word? Reprimanded for it. Okay. So that can be your telltale sign as you're doing these baby steps with communicating. But also have a little bit of tolerance for that adjustment piece, like I said. And again, you'll know how, what, like, who, what am I trying to say? You'll know if it's just, them trying to readjust to this new communication, or whether it's just a straight up no, like, I don't want to hear it. Bye. Like, that kind of thing, which is more violent, more aggressive, more power play type thing. So use your discernment. You'll know in that situation intuitively, even if your mind wants to rationalize out of it, you'll know. So try to listen to your intuition a little bit more. Okay. So, with that spirit, can we get any final closing messages or advice for the collective who's experiencing turbulence in their relationship? Just 1 to 2 cards. Okay. Okay. And just one more. So we have, okay, interesting. Okay, so we have May and September. So those months may be significant to you or this connection, or maybe that might be a significant time period. Uh, we have broken bridge, unsuccessful outcome to a problem, and eagle triumph over troubles and obstacles. So I think this broken bridge is talking about maybe the turbulence you've experienced so far, where you feel like you've had these problems or there is this turbulence, and no matter what you tried, it just wasn't working out. And with the eagle here, triumph over troubles and obstacles, it does feel like, when you're able to communicate and view this relationship from a higher perspective. So this might even mean that sometimes you might need to go for external help, right? Someone who can see it from a higher perspective, because as long as you're in the relationship, you are experiencing all these emotions. So as much as you try to be objective, as much as you try to look at it from a higher perspective, there's only so much that you can do because you are feeling all of these emotions. So sure, you can try to look at it objectively, but we can't deny that we're humans experiencing this. So, if you need to go outside and like seek professional help, someone who can hold both of you, who can, see it. And it doesn't even need to be professional help. It could be, someone that you trust, who can be objective, who can hold the space and help you navigate it. That's definitely something that'll help, because, yeah, sometimes. And also the other thing is, like, if you are in a conflict, right, where it is getting heated, taking a step back so that you can calm down, that you can like regulate and then reapproach the problem, that will also help you approach it from a more higher perspective, because you're not in that heat, you're not reacting from that point, you're actually taking a step back, processing, and then responding. Okay. And we do have crib as backup deck energy, birth or conception of a child or enterprise. I don't think this is talking about literal birth, but since it came here, I will say use protection if you don't want to have a pregnancy. But apart from that, with this crib card here as backup deck energy, I think this is just reassuring you that there is potential for a rebirth in this connection, for this to grow, for you all to have like a new lease on life with each other. So don't stress too much. And for some of you, if you have a child already with your partner and you feel like, they're not picking up enough of the responsibilities, and if that's one of the reasons why you are experiencing this turbulence, and maybe you say that, oh, my partner is out at work, and they're they're the primary breadwinner, or they have a lot of stress at work, so I don't want to stress them out with um household duties with the child or anything like that. If that is also something that you're experiencing, you can still communicate that with them. You don't need to be like, I need something to be different. You can just voice it, where you can say like, see, I understand that you're going through a lot at work, and if this doesn't pertain to you, use it as an analogy for whatever like the main issue is with your life, where you can be like, I know that you're busy with work, I know you have a lot of work stress, but I sometimes feel like, I have to pick up all of this weight at home with the child, with the baby, and it just feels like it's a lot for me, and I don't know what the solution is. Right? You don't need to say, like, I need you to be different. I need you to show up more. You're just saying, like, I know this is your reality and this is my reality, and my reality is really hard. So, can we talk about it and find a solution together? Because remember, it's always you and the person versus the problem, not you versus the person, which is creating the problem. Okay. So, I hope you got something helpful from this, and I hope it resonated. If it did, it would mean a lot if you left a like or a comment. And if you want to work one-on-one with me, the details for that is in the description below. And yeah, I hope you have a lovely day or night whenever you're listening in, and I'll hopefully catch you in the next one. Bye.